I'm Chris Seisel of Blue Force Gear, and today we're super excited to have Jared Resson here from Resson Training Group. And not really planned, but whenever we get together, we inevitably start bullshitting about gear and things, and how we got to where we are, where we came from. And so this has been a lot of fun. And just off camera, we started going down the road of tactical marking. And of course, Blue Force Gear made Marco, I think quite a while ago now, to kind of address a lot of the things that we all knew was just terrible about tactical marking in general. Not the why part, but the how part.
Yeah.
And Marco addressed that like amazingly. And I noticed there's one on your belt. So if you could just kind of go back 15 years and talk about some of your experiences and how we got here, and I'll do the same, and this will be a good time.
Yeah. So like for me, it was always the Chemlight bundle hanging off the back. Different Chemlights, different
colors,
but like even different styles, like trying to shrink them up so they wouldn't put out so much light. Then it came to like taping them up and doing, just different tricks of the trade. It normally starts in the military and then will trickle down to law enforcement. So we're trying to, we were trying to do what we could, and just kind of the limit, like, to have 10, you probably have 4 or 5 greens, then you'll have a couple blues, and you'll have a couple reds, and or maybe a couple IRs in there. And then that bundle became quite large. You know what I mean?
Untenable.
And then your 550 cord would come undone, or just like, life happened. Like it wasn't built for what we were doing. So my last years on the department, the Marco came out, and it's just that small magazine of small chem sticks that were bright enough to do your job, and you just had so many on you with really no space take. You're not giving anything up to have them. There's not really a snag hazard. It just really made it life much simpler, and
that was the goal.
Yeah.
Much like yourself, my entire career I had, this, for those of you that don't count or can't count on the video, this is 10 6-inch Chemlights. This is 10. So our SOP was, we had one color on this side, one color on this side, one color on your back. So 30 freaking Chemlights in total with this like nasty, bullshit going everywhere. And then what I like about the Marco that's probably a little bit underappreciated, or we just don't talk about it as much from this point of view, I can't stand what I call arts and crafts hour, where and a Chemlight bundle is a good example. There's a lot of other examples of that shit with like tactical gear, but the Chemlight bundle stands above the rest because, in this case we're under nods, so you got to tape them up so they're not like obnoxious. And then I got to figure out how to run all this 550 cord, and then what's missing here, you guys probably played around with it. Everybody's got their like homebrew recipe for wires and frickin' snap links and all this shit that you have to put together. And if I'm under a time constraint, which I'm guessing as a SWAT guy, you guys were under a time constraint a lot.
Always, yeah.
Like I don't have time to put all this crap together. And another thing that is purpose-built in the Marco, and I think I've just done a terrible job of explaining this. UV light, like the light that's on a range when you're standing on it all day, kills Chemlights. Like magic juice destroys them. And that's all Chemlights. And the pouch for the Marco, both the belt hanger and the Molly pouch, that's like a mag pouch, are designed specifically to, like, if you're standing on the range all day, using your belt and shooting that Chambers gun, take your magazine out, turn it around, and put it back in the pouch. So now the sunlight won't kill, if the sunlight hits all these, the UV light, you whip them out and they don't work. Because if I had $1 for every time one of my dudes cracked a bundle light, tossed it, and it's like, it's not coming on.
Get a little shaking. Shaking some more.
Yeah, because they're hanging off their belt all day on the range, because we're commandos, and the UV light's just killing them. And so Marco solved a lot of those issues, and it did it in such a fashion where I don't have to spend, planning sequence or prep time building Chemlight bundles.
We didn't Chemlight a lot of stuff like on a search warrant, right? It's a 2-3 bedroom house. We're not, but when we did large structures, it was a must, right? Like, so having it all the time, because it's going to be a call out or something like that. It's not going to be a planned, probably huge structure hit, like, for law enforcement. So just having it there and having that ability, and not, damn, did I bring enough or whatever, like you got it. So, you put 3 or 4 guys with those, you can mark all day.
And here's the deal. At the end of the day, like people, places, and things have to be marked for efficiency and safety. You know, big crews, big structures, big stuff. Marking gives us safety and efficiency once you boil out all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And with that, like you said, it's an individual task. Everybody has to be ready to do it on call. And then there's a lot of people, places, and things.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're now, when I look back or still see sometimes like on Instagram, after running Marcos operationally, now I just kind of grimace when I see like a dude with 3 Chemlights hanging off his belt. It's like, you know, Crom laughs at your 3 Chemlights because there's just going to be so many more people, places, and things that need to be marked.
Right.
So Marco, I just sleep better, you know, knowing operationally on call, I got 30 down below in a color, 30 up above in a color, 2 mags in my pockets of different colors. So in case we do hit that like very large structure or something, you know, I was never a law enforcement guy. I'm not a cop, but I've seen, like, remember the, who was that asshole they were chasing in Boston after the bombing? Boston bomber.
The Boston Bombers?
I don't know his name. Probably rightfully so. I don't want to know his name. But, you know, that operation sticks out in my head because it was spread out over, like, the whole town.
Yeah.
There's freaking people everywhere, and it's, like, a lot of markings. I don't know if they got used, but I would submit they probably needed to be used. So,
I mean, like, that was, like, we marked a lot of things, you know, with IR chem sticks. We're on a call out in a tight thing, like, hey, we'll mark the front door with a chem light. We're marking things a lot, and just having these available to you was great. Like, and just the container, the magazine that they come in, you're able to push them out with a gloved hand, break it, drop it. It's a well thought out product, you know, like it's purpose built. Like, you might not think you're doing it, but like I've used them teaching Lowlight on the range. Like, I'm like, oh man, instead of bringing like a whole, like, you know, if I'm flying somewhere, I don't need to have a checked bag full of chem sticks. You know, I can just have 4 or 5 of those, and I can, you know, breadcrumb a line and things like that. So like a shooting line, so people know what it is, and there's marking out there. Like, it's
still safety, still efficiency.
100%.
Now, one of our peers that teaches a lot of classes sent me a picture one time, and I was like, what's going on in this picture? And he's like, no, I use IR Marcos to mark ant hills on the flat ranges. So it's, you know, so people at night under nods, someone's not standing right on an ant hill, you know, getting destroyed. It's like, man, that's a good use. You know? But thank you, Jared.
Hey, no problem.
Tactical marking is absolutely a necessity. It's a non-negotiable in my book. So now we just got to talk about how we do it, why we do it, and all those things. But from a purely an equipment standpoint, you know, this thing has a long list of cons, and I can't really think of a pro, which is the exact opposite for Marco.